Welcome to Watch and Learn. Today we're going to talk about the felting foot. We're going to tell you what it does, how to use it, and a little bit of show and tell. I'm Kim Sandberg, and this is...
I'm Kelly Ashton.
And I think we should just get to it. Kelly, what do you think?
Let's do it.
So what is the felting foot? What does it do?
The felting foot. It's a combination of needles that have little barbs. They're triangle-shaped needles, and they have little barbs on them.
Okay.
And so it pushes the fiber down into the other fiber. So it kind of meshes those fibers together and creates one. It's kind of a modern twist on an old-fashioned way of kind of, what's the word, embellishing a project?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really been fun to play with the felting foot and try different fibers and find out what works well and maybe what hasn't worked so well for us. So we're going to give you some ideas on how that's been working. Okay?
Tips, tricks, all that good stuff. So let's start over here. First of all, Kelly, the felting foot. Which machines can we use it on?
So we can put it on all of the machines except for the Infinity because of the way the needle and the hopping foot is oriented on the Infinity. It's not designed to go on the Infinity. So I'm sorry, that's a big sad face for Infinity users. So, but we're going to show you how it works on all of the other machines.
Exactly. So it works on our stationary machines and on our frame-mounted machines.
Yes, all of our long arm machines. This is not for the stitch machines. It's for the long arm machines.
Just for the long arms. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look here. We have got some quilt blocks that you've created here. So tell me a little bit about these, Kelly.
So we just have some linen fabric because linen has a nice open weave and it's a good fiber to be able to felt in because of the open weave. So and then we've just kind of put these shapes out of wool onto the linen fabric. And just an FYI, we have played with several different types of adhesives.
Yes.
So just from my experience, I've even stitched through the adhesive,
like
the double-sided iron-on one.
Yeah.
It works okay. It works okay, but of course it gums things up. That's what it does.
Right.
So I feel like 505 adhesive or the spray adhesive is probably the easiest adhesive to use.
Yeah.
Or a pin. I mean, you could just take a pin and put a pin right here on the wool and hold it in place. So as far as managing where you're going to put the little pieces, that's probably the best options that I have found so far.
That you found. And I know I played around with a little bit and I experimented with a glue stick too, and I found that a glue stick works okay, just a regular water-soluble glue stick for like small pieces. Just put a little on there, slap it down, and start felting it.
Yeah. I use lots of different adhesives on one of the projects, and
you found it.
I found some of them were a little tricky to use, so I'm going to stick with the adhesive spray.
Okay, you like the adhesive spray. All right, awesome. And Kelly has definitely done more of this than I have. So, okay, so let's take a look at the back side of this so we can kind of see what's going on. So you can see that Kelly has went ahead and stitched around the edge of these pieces.
And I call it tacking when I'm just going to kind of stabilize where I want them in place. We just call it tacking.
So Kelly went ahead and tacked around all of those, but we want to fill it in so that it will look like this on the back. Yeah. That way we know our pieces are nice and secure and they're not going to go anywhere, right?
Yeah, and you can still tell I could do a little more in a couple of places on there. So
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. All right, so let's give this a little bit of a try. So Kelly, you got any pointers for me on these pieces, getting these pieces tacked down?
Well, for one thing, we have no thread. We're not dealing with any thread. We're just dealing with the foot and the needles. And so the needles come in different sizes.
Right.
So in your felting foot kit, you're going to get 3 different sizes. And let's see the gauges. 36 gauge, 38 gauge, and 40 gauge. So choosing the right needle size has been really important. So if I'm choosing a wide open linen, like an open weave, like wool or linen or something, I want to choose one of the bigger sizes.
A bigger needle.
Also, also if I'm going to do multiple layers, the bigger needle works better. So if this were my project I was working on, I'd probably put one of the 36 or the 5 of the 36 needles in because they're bigger pieces. They can support the 5 needles. If I were working with little tiny pieces, I would only put 1 or 2 needles in. But because these are big pieces, we're going to put 5 needles in.
That way it doesn't take as long to do it either, right?
Right, and it can hold, the linen can hold those needles, piercing it to mesh those fibers together.
Awesome.
One other tip, Kim, I found when I'm working with something that has a point, if I stitch out to the point, I don't want to stitch back on that point or it lifts it up.
Okay.
So what I need to do is stitch out to the point,
Okay.
stop, bring it around, and stitch down to the point the other direction. So I'm going to go down to the point like this rather than wrapping it around that point, or it can kind of lift it up. So go for it. Play for a minute.
Okay. So I've got to think a little differently than when I'm using thread, because I don't want to break my thread. Here, it's okay to stop because there's no thread.
Yeah, and if you stop, if you'll put it so that when you stop, your needle is in the up position.
Okay.
And then the other tip I want to give you is just kind of work in a small circular motion.
Okay.
When you're filling in pieces like that.
Okay.
Okay.
So
let's watch it work.
I'll go ahead and just start moving it.
And fast is fine. You can go fast. You don't have to go really slow. Go find a comfortable speed and just keep it moving in a nice circular motion.
This is totally fun. And the fun thing is I can go anywhere and I don't have to worry about it being perfect.
Okay, stop and show us the back. Let's see what it looks like.
Let me do my tap up. Oh, you can totally see my little circles I was making there.
Yeah.
So really, actually super easy to use.
Yes, and the more you stitch it, the more of the fibers that you're going to push down through. So you've got to be kind of careful about the fibers that you're pushing through.
Okay.
So I did find that these wools that, what would you call it?
So these are woven.
Oh,
these are woven.
Okay.
Yeah, these are woven. They're not just felted. They're actually woven, like that cool houndstooth.
Can never think of the right words when we're doing this. Thank you. Woven's a word I've never heard of, right?
You're welcome.
These woven wools are a little trickier because the fibers tend to separate when you start punching them, kind of. So you have to be a little more careful, and each of the blocks have some of the woven wools.
Yeah.
So when you get to the woven, I'm just more careful about not felting it too much on the edge, or it kind of makes it fray a little bit.
Okay.
So,
okay. I see. So you would actually do more of it on the inside and maybe just very lightly along the edges. Maybe even if you were doing a project with more wovens in it, you might use less needles.
You could certainly use less needles.
Okay.
Yes. The other thing I was thinking about on these blocks is I thought it might be kind of fun to take a yarn or wool and just kind of outline it in black or something, because the center is all black on them. But
totally,
just kind of a fun place to play.
It totally is. So you're telling me that I could, even though I've got 2 layers here, I could go ahead and take a piece of wool and just felt it, like a wool yarn, or just any yarn, actually fiber, and
or
go ahead
roving. You could take some roving.
Some roving. Okay, so what is roving? I think a lot of us are familiar with woven wools that have been felted, or felted wool fabric. Yarn, I think most of us are familiar with yarn, but what is roving?
Roving is just what you get before it's made into yarn and wool.
Very cool.
It's kind of what you get out of your bobbin case area after you've felted for a while.
It's true.
You get a lot of stuff in your bobbin case area.
Do.
Okay, so if you were going to use some roving, we're just going to pull a piece off of there.
Okay.
You can do whatever you want with it.
Kind of manipulate it.
Yeah, you just play with it, and you can
that's very cool.
kind of twist it or whatever you'd like to do with it. I'm not sure I would choose roving on this project because it's not consistent in diameter.
Yeah,
right?
Like a piece of yarn would be.
Yes, yarn would be a better choice for this. But roving is just before you get yarn, you have this nice wool, and you could kind of just lay that on there.
So we could lay that on there, and we could actually felt just right along there, and then just make it follow along those edges.
You could just kind of keep pulling it and kind of manipulating it as you go. It's kind of fun.
It is. This is way fun. I love how tactile this is. This is really fun.
It's kind of brought a whole new dimension of working with my Longarm. It's been fun.
I know.
So,
I've never thought of felting. To me, felting was always something that you did with little needle punch. It was like handwork. It wasn't something you're doing with your machine.
Yeah, you still can. You can get a little hand one and with like a piece of foam underneath it, and you kind of just punch it through like that. So we didn't talk about the quilt.
Oh yeah,
this quilt behind us.
Such a beautiful quilt, Kelly.
Well, this was a combined effort.
It was.
So Johnny and Kim and I spent the day cutting and piecing and ironing, and we made this quilt.
Yep.
And then if you'll notice in the center, we felted that flower and all of the leaves in the center. So it was out of a book that we'll have to put it in the comments. I didn't bring the book in with me, so we'll put it in the comments so that you can see where this pattern is found, because it's a beautiful pattern book, and if you like felting, this is a book you should get. So I'll put it in the comments. Okay, but that's kind of the first one we started with, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So what are some other projects we can do with this? So we've got the basics of this here. Kelly's got some other stuff here.
I wanted to show you this because this is when you look in our website and you look under Felting Foot.
Yeah, on the product page.
On the product page.
You can actually print out this PDF, and it's like, what, 5 or 6 pages long?
Yeah.
And it's got all kinds of tips and tricks to help you,
4
pages, how to felt.
How to select your fibers, how to prepare your machine.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to do it on my stand-up machine and I just had a small project that was kind of too small maybe for my leaders.
Well, even something like this, just a small block.
Well, that would fit. But if this didn't fit, I could just sew an extra piece of muslin to the sides to make it a little bigger so that I could load it on my leaders. And then I would even recommend like putting your ruler base on because it gives you a flat surface.
Yep.
So we didn't talk about the felting foot. We also have a video that's on the website that will show you how to install the felting foot.
Yes, and that's also going to be available on the product page, and it will also be on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So it'll be easy to find.
Yeah, Kathy Zimmerman walks us how to install it, and she's really good at explaining
Very
that.
good.
So I think you'll really get a good understanding of how to put the felting foot on with her instructions. So
exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to show you some of the projects that we've done.
Well, and do you want to do a little demo of showing how to do it on our on the Amara? Because I know a lot of you have Amaras, and you're going to want to do this. So Kelly, what are some tips when you're doing it on the Amara?
Okay, so I'm actually putting it in precision mode, which I normally choose cruise. There's not a right and a wrong, but I'm normally a cruise stitcher. So I'm going to stitch down just this little spine and these little berries. Yeah, so they're. I think maybe you did a little tacking down on them earlier.
I did a little tacking, and I obviously missed a couple spots.
Well,
so
they're just
Kelly's
not tacked
fix
down.
It for me.
So rather than starting at the point, I'm going to start where it's tacked down well.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm just going to draw it out, and don't stitch your finger. So I'm going to stop. Whoopsie. And it helps if you stop with your needle in the up position. Okay.
Yes.
And then I'm going to come back out here, and I can even go around here and come back out again. But I don't want to come opposite direction on that point, or I'm going to have a hard time getting it stick down.
Right.
On the circles, I'm just going to go around them, around the circles, and I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to go around that stem one more time that's just not thrilled about sticking. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to just go around in circles on the berries.
Very cool.
And it kind of gives it spreads out that edge of the wool. And gives it kind of a soft, feathery look. It's not a sharp cut edge. So I really like the look of it. So, but if you stitch it too much, you start losing that wool down into the bottom. So you have to be careful that you don't do too much stitching.
Too much. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
So, and then here, if I wanted to add a little roving, I thought it might be kind of fun to add a little roving into the center of the leaf.
Oh, I totally agree. A little, like, you're thinking like a little vein, adding a little bit of detail there. I love it.
So you just don't want to stitch your finger. So truthfully, if I were going to do some roving, I'm not going to use 5 needles. I'm going to probably just use, well, I'm going to move that away so you can see. I would either cut this off or fold it over and go back over it. But I think I would just cut it off and leave that little vein right there.
That's very cool.
But if I'm working on a small roving like that, I could usually use a finer needle, which would be the 40.
Okay.
And I really only need 1 or 2 needles. The more, if I rove it or punch or felt it too much, then I lose all those fibers down to the bottom.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah. So
exactly.
that's how that works. So I'm going to show you a couple projects that we've been working on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to see.
This one is just a little Christmas table runner.
Oh, it's so cute.
This one had some challenging pieces because of Santa's face and hat.
Those are really small.
They're really small.
So what did you find to help you manage those?
So if you have something really small, you might even just take one of the needles and put a piece of foam under you and just actually manually needle felt those in there.
A little bit.
Yes. This was the tricky part. I did put some sort of adhesive that made these a little stiff, so it was harder to felt them.
Gotcha.
So I would be really cautious about using adhesive on small pieces.
Okay.
So you got to keep your fingers away from it, so it's a little tricky. On something small, you could use that. And you can see on the back places that I could use a little more felting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, I love that how easy it is to just flip it over and see, am I done or not?
Yeah.
And it's easy check.
This round one actually would be a little tricky to put on my stand-up machine. This is a lot easier project that would work on your sit-down, your stationary machine. Okay?
But you could still do it. You could still,
could.
if you have something like that, you could still load it. Just, you'd have to be creative with your muslin pieces around the edge.
Yes, you would. Okay, so this is just a fall table runner. This one I actually loaded on my Amara and did it on my Amara.
So did you use some muslin along the edges then? Or did you just pin it straight onto the leaders?
I just pinned it straight because it's in a scallop. So it actually, the pattern actually had little circles in the scallops. I don't think I'm going to put those on there, but
I think it looks great without it.
Yeah. And this was one where I did use the double-sided adhesive on the pumpkin because I had it started before I knew about our felting, and it actually worked to go through it. I only did.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Look at that on the back side.
I didn't finish that very well.
Totally
but
see.
You can see how it felt through there.
It's pretty.
I think
it actually looks kind of fun on the back.
There's Santa's thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I wasn't sure how it would work in cotton fibers because they're pretty densely woven.
Yeah.
So I had to try it on just regular quilt fabric to see how it would work.
And how did it do?
So it worked pretty good. I used a smaller needle at first because of the tightly woven fabric. So on this first flower, I used a smaller needle. And then because it's triple layer of wool right there, I actually used a bigger needle to do those multiple layers.
A bigger needle. And just a reminder that the larger the number on the needles, the smaller the needle is, right?
Yes.
Yes. So just remember that because you might open this up and go, oh, the 36 are the small ones. No,
the 40 are the small.
The 40 are the small ones, the 36 are the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yep, and here's one more project that's kind of a Christmas.
You actually have some wool. Actually, this is like wool piece in here, or like a woolly flannel?
It's a woolly flannel.
Oh.
So I use flannels on it.
I love it.
And then all of the applique is felted with wool. So the bird, the tree, the stars, the bows on the presents.
Bows, so cute.
Yeah, and you can see on the back, but I really hate to show you the back because then you get to see if I pressed wrong.
We're not judging.
Actually, that was pressed right, but when I felted it, it went the wrong way.
It flipped it the other way.
Yeah.
I love how this one has kind of that little bit of fuzzy on the edges. It really makes it look like
This was a really thick wool.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you can feel it. It's super
like heavy,
thick.
But it looks amazing on there. That is so cute. So it's good to know. So you can use this on the linen base. You can use it on regular quilting cottons and even flannels.
So I've experimented on all of those so far, and I've just really feel like I had pretty good success on all of those. So
I think it looks great.
Yeah.
And I think you have one more project.
Oh, okay.
That is such a fun one.
I had to show you this. I was telling my sister about our new felting foot, and she's like, I just bought something at the antique store. Let me see if it's felting.
Yeah.
We went and got it. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can see all the yarns and the roving. This whole thing was felted, so they even felted the background.
You can actually see that it's layers of roving for the background.
Yeah.
So I look at this as an aspirational piece.
Me too. That's why I brought it, because it just makes me think about all of the possibilities, the things that I can do with the felting foot. So I really wish we could give credit to the artist who made this. I don't have any idea. It was just randomly at a store, but
it's beautiful.
I'm so excited that my sister found it just in time for our felting. So I brought a piece of wool that we're going to practice roving on this week. How about that?
Yeah, hey, I'm all over that. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
And this is so awesome because it's not only just roving, there's also yarn.
Yes, lots of yarn. These are yarns.
The way, I mean, they manipulated these tiny little
It's like they sat and curled the roving and made these amazing.
Well, I wonder, I know that there's
They're hollyhocks.
There's actually yarns that you can buy that are
curly like that?
Yeah, that are like that. And so I think they just felted those on there. Those are amazing. I'm a knitter, so I know a lot about yarn, and I recognize some of those yarns, but that is amazing. Yeah. It's absolutely amazing.
It just get you excited about the different things we can try.
Yes, and I love that there's now another awesome thing we can do with our long arms. I love it.
It's
absolutely
perfect.
Love it. So, well, is there any other tips or tricks you can think of that we missed? Did we cover everything?
I think we got it.
I think we got it all. So, well, thanks for joining us this week. Be sure and subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, share this video with your friends, and have fun quilting this week.
Yeah.